The wind carried red dust across the forward base, coating every surface in grit. Lieutenant Silas stood behind a sandbag wall, visor up just enough to wipe the layer from his optics. The horizon was black under twin moons, but the sensors had been picking up movement for the past 3 minutes. "Red Squad secure," Silas said into his headset. "Perimeter sensors are live. No contact yet." "No contact means they're watching," Captain Mira Khan replied from somewhere near the command bunker. "And they're patient." The dust storm wasn't helping. It muted sound, played tricks with distance. It also made perfect cover for the Vrakthin. Everyone on the line knew that. Inside the bunker, Dr. Ava Lee was leaning over a tactical display, her fingers moving across a cracked glass screen. The feed flickered, but the blips on it were steady. Too steady for anything but a coordinated advance. "They're massing," she said into the comms. "Formation matches the scythe maneuver they used at Outpost Helios. They'll try to split our line right through the middle." "How long until they're in range?" Khan's voice came back. 7 minutes, maybe less if they sprint, Lee answered. "Prep the real stick," Khan said. Silas turned his head at that. "We're actually using it?" Khan's reply was flat. "We're out of time to keep secrets, Lieutenant." Far beyond the base, in the dark haze of the storm, the alien formation moved. Through their own visor feeds, the humans could see tall insectoid silhouettes with elongated limbs and glowing weapons. The Vrakthin didn't stumble or hesitate. They advanced like a machine. At the center of the column was a taller figure clad in silver carapace, Commander Zarthok, carrying a long spear-like weapon that pulsed with sickly green light. The base sirens began their slow wail. Mortar crews grabbed their shells and started loading. Snipers checked their scopes, breathing slow, gloved fingers resting on triggers. Rifle teams crouched low, watching the dark. Khan's voice came in again. "Weapons free on my mark. 3, 2, 1. The night exploded. Mortars thumped, sending arcs of fire into the black. Tracer rounds tore through the dust storm, each one glowing for a fraction of a second before vanishing into the red haze. Then came the alien reply. Plasma bolts streaked across the field like falling stars, striking the walls in bright bursts, sending shards of molten composite spinning. One round hit a gunner in the shoulder, punching him backward into the dirt. In the trenches, Silas ducked as a bolt burned into the wall above his head. Corporal Davies popped up next to him, grenade launcher braced against his shoulder. The thump of the round going out was followed by a distant, wet detonation. "They're in the wire," Davies shouted over the din. "Hold the damn line." Silas barked, leaning out to fire 3 precise shots. One alien dropped, legs folding. At the cannon emplacement, Lee was already working. The real stick, a massive, ugly weapon with coiled magnetic rails and a cooling array bigger than a truck, was humming under her hands. "Charging sequence initiated. 40 seconds to full power," she reported. A plasma bolt slammed into the side of the emplacement, knocking a wrench from the table and spraying fragments into the room. "Keep them off me," she yelled into her mic. Khan was along the barricades, rifle aimed steady despite the chaos. "Lee, status?" 30 seconds, came the reply. "You've got 20, Khan said. Out in the dark, Zarthok raised his lance. The weapon whined as amplifiers along its length lit up. His voice carried in guttural clicks over the alien network. "Breach them! Leave none alive!" Lee's display flashed green. "Full charge!" She slammed the firing lever forward. The real stick's coils lit up like a sunrise. A column of white-hot plasma burst from the muzzle, tearing across the field in a blinding streak. It hit the alien center mass and detonated with a roar, flattening half the formation and carving a crater deep into the Martian soil. In the trenches, the shockwave hit like a wall. Silas shielded his face against flying grit. When he looked again, the middle of the alien line was gone. "Direct hit!" he shouted into his headset. Through the smoke and dust, Zarthok emerged. His silver armor was scorched, his left shoulder plate cracked, but he stood tall. "Human weapon. Unacceptable," he growled in his own language. He raised one clawed hand and signaled. Smaller shapes broke from the haze. Alien hunters, heavier armor plating, 4 legs instead of 2. They moved at terrifying speed, weaving between impacts, their limbs carrying them in bounding leaps toward the human flanks. "They're flanking!" Khan shouted. "Second platoon, intercept!" The hunters hit the line like knives through cloth. Shotguns roared at point-blank range, shredding chitin, but not before one alien tackled a Marine into the dirt, ripping at his helmet. "Lee, can the stick fire again?" Khan asked. "Not for 3 minutes." "It'll blow the coils," Lee said, voice tight as she rewired a damaged relay. "Then we buy 3 minutes the hard way," Khan answered, racking her rifle and stepping into the breach. She fired twice, dropping one of the hunters mid-leap, then kicked the carcass aside and waved her troops forward. "Push them back!" Silas moved up next to her, reloading as he ran. "Captain, they're pressing hard on the south line." "Then we hit harder," Khan said. The trench line lit up again, but this time it wasn't clean volley fire. It was close, brutal, dirty. Marines fought from cover, ducking and popping up, trading shots over sandbags. Plasma bolts hissed through the air, burning anything they touched. A hunter lunged for Silas, and he met it with a burst straight into the faceplate. The alien crumpled, twitching. "Minute and a half." Lee's voice came through the comms, breathless. "Plenty of time," Khan replied, not believing it but not showing it either. The south line was buckling. Khan and Silas sprinted through the connecting trench, passing Marines crouched low, firing over the rim. The smell of scorched armor and burning sand filled the air. A Marine stumbled past them, helmet gone, face blackened. He didn't stop moving, just kept his head down and clutched his rifle like it was a lifeline. "They've breached Sector Charlie," someone shouted over the comms. Khan keyed her mic. "All red elements, pivot south, plug the gap now." They rounded a bend and saw the breach. A section of the trench wall blown inward. Sandbags shredded. 2 machine gun nests silenced. 3 alien hunters were inside, tearing through the defenders. One had a Marine pinned to the ground, claws punching into his chest plate. Silas didn't think. He fired until his rifle clicked empty, dropping the alien in a heap. Another turned toward him, mandibles flaring. Davies, appearing out of nowhere, leveled his shotgun and fired point blank, the blast punching straight through the hunter's thorax. "Sector Charlie secure," Silas panted into his headset. "Negative," Khan said, eyes scanning. "One more." The last hunter was halfway over the trench wall. Khan aimed. 2 quick shots into the back of its head. It slumped forward, armor clattering. 60 seconds, Lee's voice came over comms. "Charging at 80%. Khan switched channels. "All units, hold positions. Real sticks about to fire again. Keep them clear of the line." That was easier said than done. The surviving alien infantry had regrouped behind the hunters, advancing with their lances raised. They fired in unison, plasma bolts slamming into the barricades. Sandbags erupted into dust and flame. "Suppressing fire," Khan yelled. A wall of rifle fire answered, tracers cutting through the haze. The aliens pressed forward anyway, stepping over their dead. One Marine lobbed a grenade into the thickest knot of them. The blast tossed bodies into the air, spraying fragments of chitin and armor. 30 seconds. Lee again, voice higher this time. Silas ducked as a bolt grazed his helmet, the impact ringing in his ears. He swore and switched to burst fire, targeting joints in the alien armor where the plates overlapped. One after another dropped, but they were still coming. A sudden crack of static in his ear, Khan's voice. "Silas, left flank." He spun in time to see 2 aliens vaulting into the trench just 10 meters away. Silas dropped to a knee, fired twice, one fell. The second landed in front of him, spear raised. Silas rolled sideways, the tip slamming into the sand where his chest had been. He jammed his rifle upward and pulled the trigger until the alien stopped moving. 10 seconds. Lee's shout was almost drowned by the chaos. Khan stepped up on the trench wall, exposed from the knees up, and started firing in controlled bursts into the alien advance. Her visor lit with HUD alerts, enemy numbers thinning, range closing. She didn't stop shooting. Lee's voice cut in, sharp and clear. "Full charge, firing!" The real stick roared again, its blast ripping through the battlefield. The beam cut a path from left to right, slicing through alien ranks like they were paper. The shockwave hit seconds later, knocking even the humans off their feet. When the dust settled, half the alien force was gone. The survivors were pulling back toward the storm. Cheers went up along the trench. Marines slapped each other on the shoulder, reloaded, caught their breath. "Don't celebrate yet," Khan said, climbing back into the trench. "They'll be back, and they'll be smarter." Silas leaned on his rifle, chest heaving. What the hell's it going to take to break them? Khan looked toward the distant haze where the aliens had vanished. "Something they've never seen before, and we're going to give it to them." The silence after the blast was almost worse than the noise. Only the hiss of cooling metal from the reel stick and the low moans of the wounded filled the trench. The wind carried red dust over the bodies, human and alien alike, settling them into the Martian soil. Khan stood at the edge of the trench, scanning the haze with her visor. "They're pulling back," she said. "Not far, not for long." Silas moved up beside her. "We should hit them before they regroup." Davies, still reloading his shotgun, gave him a look. "You planning to chase those things into a dust storm?" "Better than waiting for them to come back with friends," Silas said. Khan tapped her comms. "All squad leaders report ammo and casualty count." One by one, voices came back. 36 able to fight, 10 wounded, 4 confirmed dead. Lee's voice joined in. "The stick's coils need 20 minutes before another shot. I can push it, but there's a real chance the whole barrel assembly will fuse." Khan thought for a moment, eyes narrowing on the dark horizon. "We're not sitting here waiting. Pack light, full mags only. We're moving out." The Marines moved with the practiced efficiency of soldiers who'd done this before. Ammo redistributed. Grenades passed down the line. Wounded shifted into the rear bunker with 2 medics. Within minutes, a strike force of 24 was ready at the south breach. Khan stood in front of them. "They're hurting right now. You've seen what the stick can do. We're going to push into that gap, tear through whatever's left of their flank, and get eyes on their command position. No prisoners, no hesitation. Move fast, shoot straight." No one argued. They climbed over the shredded sandbags and into the open. The storm swallowed them almost immediately, visibility dropping to 50 meters. Silas kept his rifle tight to his shoulder, scanning left and right. His visor marked heat signatures ahead, scattered, moving slowly. "Contacts at 1 o'clock, he called. 3 alien warriors emerged from the haze, their armor dented, movement sluggish. The Marines dropped them in seconds, rifles cracking in the thin air. They moved on, stepping over scorched alien corpses still steaming from the stick's blast. The ground was littered with shards of chitin and twisted alien weapons, some still glowing faintly. Davies bent down, picking up one of the weapons, a lance about 2 meters long, the haft smooth and warm. "Feels weird," he muttered. "Don't play with it," Silas said. Davies smirked. "I'm not playing. I'm thinking this could punch through their armor better than 5.56. He jabbed the air with it, the tip flaring green for a moment. Khan glanced back. "If it works, bring it. We'll test it in the next fight." The deeper they went, the more alien wreckage they found. Pieces of drop pods, scorched armor plates, weapons half buried in the sand. But the heat signatures were getting closer together, clustering ahead. They crested a low ridge and saw it, a makeshift alien staging area. Half a dozen damaged drop pods sat in a circle, with wounded Vrakthin inside, their armor stripped or cracked. 2 uninjured warriors were tending to them, backs turned. Khan signaled silently, 2 fingers forward, then a closed fist. The Marines fanned out, taking positions along the ridge. On her mark, the ridge erupted in fire. Suppressed rifles coughed, each shot deliberate. The 2 guards dropped before they could raise alarms. A grenade arced into the nearest pod, detonating with a muffled thump and sending alien bodies tumbling out. It was over in under a minute. Silas stepped into the clearing, scanning for movement. "Looks like we caught the stragglers." Khan wasn't convinced. "Too easy. They didn't even have perimeter watches." Lee's voice came over comms from the base. "I'm picking up a surge about 400 meters ahead of your position. Big one. Could be their command signal." "That's where Zarthok is," Khan said. "And if he's still alive, he's not done." She turned to the Marines. "We push on, stay sharp." The dust storm was still thick, but the alien signal Lee had picked up was stronger now. The Marines moved in staggered formation, rifles up, boots crunching over the gritty Martian surface. Silas scanned the ground as they advanced. Alien boot prints were fresh, claw marks deep in the sand. "They came through here in a hurry," he muttered. "Or they're drawing us in," Khan replied without slowing. The terrain shifted from open dust plain to jagged rock outcroppings. Heat signatures began to flicker on their HUDs. Dozens of them clustered just ahead. Khan raised a hand and the line dropped to a crouch. They moved forward inch by inch until the shapes emerged from the haze. A defensive line of Vrakthin warriors, shoulder to shoulder, lances leveled. Behind them, in the center of a crude command circle, stood Zarthok. His silver armor was cracked, one arm hanging low, but his posture was still regal, his spear glowing a deep, menacing green. Khan switched to the unit channel. "That's him. Objective is clear. We break the line, take out Zarthok, and the rest scatter." Davies grinned through his visor. Finally, something straightforward. The first shot came from the aliens. a single plasma lance arcing toward the ridge. It missed, but the line erupted a second later, dozens of bolts streaking toward the humans. "Return fire!" Khan shouted. The ridge lit up with muzzle flashes. Rounds slammed into alien armor, some bouncing, others punching through at weak points. The air shimmered with heat and dust. Davies dropped his shotgun and hefted the captured alien lance. He aimed at the front rank and fired. The tip flared, a bolt of green energy blasting through two aliens at once. "Hell yes!" he roared. Khan saw an opening. "Left flank, push forward." Silas led the charge down the slope, Marines firing from the hip as they closed the distance. Grenades burst among the alien ranks, throwing bodies and breaking the line. The fight collapsed into brutal close quarters. Marines jammed rifle barrels into gaps in alien armor, firing point blank. Aliens swung their lances like blades, knocking men off their feet. The air was a mix of screams, gunshots, and the hiss of burning metal. Silas blocked a downward strike with his forearm plate, pain shooting up his arm, then jammed his combat knife into the alien's neck joint. He ripped it free and turned just in time to see Khan moving through the chaos, her rifle now slung as she pulled her sidearm. Zarthok stepped forward from behind his guard. His spear spun in his hand like it weighed nothing. He locked eyes with Khan and strode toward her, the battle around them fading into background noise. "You are the one who wields the weapon," he said in his guttural tongue, his voice dripping contempt. "You will fall by my hand." Khan didn't answer. She drew her combat knife, crouched low, and waited. Zarthok lunged, spear thrust like a piston. Khan rolled to the side, slicing at his leg. Sparks flew as the blade scraped armor. He spun, the spear's butt slamming into her chest plate and sending her staggering. Silas saw her go down and tried to push toward them, but an alien warrior cut him off. He fired twice, dropped the warrior, and kept moving. Khan came up in a low guard as Zarthok pressed, spear whistling through the air in broad sweeps. She ducked under one and drove her knife into the cracked seam of his shoulder plate. He roared, backhanding her with such force that her visor shattered. Before he could finish her, Silas slammed into his back, jamming the captured alien lance into the gap in his armor. The weapon discharged with a blinding flash, and Zarthok let out a shriek that rattled the rocks. He fell to one knee. Khan, blood running from her brow, stepped forward and drove her knife up under his chin plate. The alien froze, twitched, and then collapsed into the dust. All around, the surviving Vrakthan hesitated, their formation breaking. Without their commander, they began to retreat into the storm. Khan keyed her mic. "All units, cease fire, they're running." The battlefield fell quiet except for the hiss of wind and the groans of the wounded. Marines began pulling their helmets off, faces streaked with dust and sweat. Lee's voice came over comms, reading full withdrawal on all frequencies. "They're gone." Silas leaned on his rifle, breathing hard. "We actually did it." Khan looked down at Zarthok's body, then back at her troops. "We did it today. Tomorrow we'll have to do it again. But they'll remember what happened here." The Marines began the slow walk back to the base, carrying their wounded and their fallen, the dust swallowing their footprints behind them.